We'd like to welcome you back to the Barber Biz Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Brown. And of course, our episode is sponsored by soc.consulting. Make sure you check out our website. If you like all the video content that you've been seeing thus far, if this is your first time, welcome. But if you like all the content that you've been seeing in regards to our interviews and our classes and our tutorials online on our YouTube page, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button below. But without further ado, we are joined today by a very, very special guest. This special guest actually is the one that designed this very room that we're in right now. If I didn't have a little bit of a messy desk, I would, spin you around and show you the whole room. But it was designed by her, it was painted by her, top to bottom, and it is none other than Ms. Giselle Victoria Hair, aka my wife, aka Danny Brown, aka the baddest cosmetology instructor in the nation. What's going on, Danielle? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You nervous?
No.
So how does it feel to be interviewed where I'm in my office, but you're in the dining room? Like, does that seem awkward? Should we have just done it side by side or what?
I guess we could do it side by side. No, it's COVID.
It was very difficult trying to get on her schedule. So, fortunately today we were able to, get an appointment in where she could be interviewed. So we appreciate you doing this. We appreciate you joining us today. And for those of you that don't know, Danielle is a licensed cosmetologist. She's also been an instructor too as well in the cosmetology field. And she also has some other new ventures that she's going to officially announce. She didn't know she was going to announce it, but we'll do that at the end in regards to something outside of the hair industry, but something that she's been working very hard on.
It can work with the hair industry too.
What'd you say? Oh, yeah, it can for sure. So we're going to save that for last. So we're going to start back from the beginning. Now, we've interviewed you before in the past, some time back. But now that we have our new studio, and since that interview was some time ago, we're going to give the viewers, all the content that they want in terms of really getting to know who you are. So the first question is, why did you decide to marry me?
Because you're a barber.
So, all right. So tell us where you're originally from. Tell us how you got started in the hair industry.
Obviously, well, I don't know if I should say obviously, but so I'm from Jamaica originally, right? And then so I moved to Boston, right? Yeah. So why did I originally get into doing hair? So my mom was a hairstylist, and I think because I always see her doing hair, it always interests me. And I've always had a love of fashion, I guess you could say. I just like pretty stuff, girl stuff. So my mom would always do hair, and I think that would always interest me when I see her working in the salon. So I think that's where I got my start from.
Okay. So your mom was a stylist. So you kind of started hanging out in her salon pretty much. That's how you got started?
Yeah, so what she would do, and this wasn't even like her asking me to come in to help her because she knew I was interested. She just needed help, and I would just go in and help her. So after she rolled her clients here and they're finished drying, I would go and take the rollers out and put the rollers back. I would sweep up the salon. I would, wash the combs and sanitize the combs, laundry the towels, fold them up, bring them back, stuff like that. So I was always around here. I grew up in a salon, so to speak.
Okay. So did you end up going to cosmetology school in Jamaica, or how did you get licensed in Jamaica, or what?
Yes, so I got licensed in Jamaica when I finished with high school. Well, I went to a vocational school. Is that what y'all call it here?
Vocational technical school, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I went to one of those, and that's where I started getting introduced to doing cosmetology, like for real. So I knew I wanted to do the cosmetology. So my mom said, why not, go to a vocational school where you could really pursue the cosmetology in school. And so that's where I started doing it. And then after I left that, so it's kind of weird how we do things in Jamaica, or maybe you guys do it the same here, I'm not sure. But once again, it's like you do level 1 in school, in high school. And then when you leave high school, then you do level 2, which gives you the more advanced. So when you go to level 2, you go to like almost like an Atlanta Technical College type of situation, or a Blaine, so to speak.
Okay.
You know, yeah. So when I finished high school, then I went to the next level.
Okay. So did you just do hair, or did you venture into other aspects of the beauty and, the beauty industry?
Well, I really liked doing nails. So I liked art, and the type of art I liked was nail artistry. So when I went to cosmetology school, my focus was really more on becoming a nail technician. So even though I helped my mom in the salon, I really was more focused on trying to get my nail tech license. So I started doing nails in school. When I was in school, and my teacher would ask me to do a roller set, I would always trade with the person that's doing a manicure. I would be like, you do the roller set and I do your manicures, and I would always do stuff like that. And yeah, that's how it happens. I mostly wanted to do nails. That was my goal, to be a nail technician. But it happened to turn around that I'm now a hairstylist.
Okay. So back in Jamaica, I remember you told me that you did compete in regards to doing nails. So tell us about that story.
Okay. So there's this skills competition called World Skills, where you entered into, and once selected, you would go to nationals, where you would represent your school, and you would compete in whatever category you were versed in, I guess you would say. So I competed in nail technician, as a nail technician, nail artistry and all that stuff. And so I won. But when I won the competition, then to move to the next level of the competition, there was like, yeah, you're not doing nails, you're doing hair. And how am I doing hair when I competed for nails? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I was so annoyed, because now that means I have to focus more on hair. And I didn't want to do hair, I wanted to do nails. But realizing that I actually could do both was interesting, because I just didn't think I could do hair, and I just didn't think I had the patience to do hair. But eventually, as I practiced more and kind of looked at magazines, I kind of studied magazines, so to speak. I would look at the pictures and kind of like look at the direction of how the hair flow, and try to follow that direction when I'm creating or replicating the hairstyles. And so eventually I realized, oh, I actually like doing hair. It's also another art.
Interesting. Okay. So you moved to Boston, and did you immediately get your license to be able to be a stylist, or did you have to go back to school, or what?
Well, here we go again. We moved to Boston, and when I came to Boston, I wanted to be a nail technician. Still wanted to be a nail technician. So I went to Blaine to get my cosmetology license, because I didn't realize I could transfer my cosmetology license from Jamaica. I didn't think they would accept the credits, and I didn't even find information on if I could do it. I just thought they wouldn't. So anyway, so when I went to Blaine to do my interview with the what do you call those people that enroll you?
Administrators, or advisors?
Yes, yeah, the advisor. So when I talked to the advisor, I let her know I really love doing nails and I want to get my nail license. And she says to me, well, we do offer the nail license as well, or nail course, but we also offer the cosmetology course. So, but why would you tie yourself to a nail technician's license when you could do a cosmetology license where you could do both hair and nails? And I was like, that sounds good, because maybe in some point in my life I don't feel like doing nails anymore. I could do, the hair. And so I enrolled as a cosmetologist, not as a nail technician. And of course, when you're in cosmetology school, you're not just focused on nails, it's more hair. And there I get thrown into doing hair again.
So did you develop, or did you still have a fondness or an appreciation for doing hair, even though you really kind of wanted to focus on nails? Did you still have that?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I actually appreciated what she told me now. And then that I would be more marketable if I had a cosmetology license than just a nail technician's license. So yes, I started appreciating doing hair. I realized it's not just roller sets when you're doing hair. You can cut it, curl it, color it, spike it, mold it down flat. Just so much different artistry in doing hair. So now I appreciate doing hair.
So you get out of school, and this is around the time when we first met. And when we met, you were actually working in a barbershop. Tell us how you started working in a barbershop and didn't go straight to a salon after you graduated.
So with cosmetology schools, they usually have hair companies or product companies that come in and do demos. And so one of the companies that came in that time to do a haircutting demo was actually Hair Cuttery. And so after the hair demonstration, the lady was giving out cards and, you know, just saying, if after you finish cosmetology school, if you want to work for us, let us know. And so, of course, I took a card and, of course, I spoke with them because I was confident in myself. Because when I went to cosmetology school, again, when I was in Boston, I wasn't like a new student. I already knew everything. So all my tests, basically, I didn't even study to take my test because I knew the information already. It's like going to cosmetology school twice. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So when she offered the students the opportunity to be able to come in and work there when you get your license, I was like, shoot, employ me now, even though I don't have a license. You know, I know what I'm doing. Because I know what I'm doing. So I took the information, and then she said, come for an interview. So then the next week I went down there and I did an interview, and we talked with a really great conversation. And she, you know, she said that she liked me, and you know, she liked my work ethics, or you know, just whatever I had to say, she just liked it. And she said, when you get your license, come back here, you have a job here. So of course, when I got my license, I went back there, got my job, started working there. But that, you know, that type of environment is more focused on just haircutting, which gets boring for a stylist. I wanted to use some Marcel irons. I wanted to smell some pressed hair. I wanted to do some color, you know. So then after a while, I moved from there and then went to your traditional salon.
So what was it? What was your experience like working as really a barber, even though you had a cosmetology license? I mean, so I know you said that it got boring, but were you intimidated cutting men's hair?
At first, a little bit, yes, because majority of the clientele, if not all the clientele, were Caucasians or straight hair. And interestingly, though, I wasn't nervous about working on that texture hair. I was very confident working in that texture hair. But it's the fact that I was working around a lot of males was where I got a little bit nervous, because I don't know what their reaction would be like to a female cutting their hair. I don't know how males feel about a woman working on them instead of like a guy, because typically guys would cut, you know, another guy hair. And also, my nervousness came in when I had to cut ethnic hair, Black people hair, a Black guy's hair. So I was 100% confident in cutting Caucasian hair, but in cutting ethnic hair, African American hair, that's where I would freak out, and that's where you came in.
Right on time, I guess. So
yeah.
All right. So you start to work in a traditional salon. So what was that transition like, going from working in more of a barbershop environment to working in a salon?
Sorry, I'm gonna turn my volume down. Well, okay. Sorry. So what was the transition like? The transition, it wasn't a bad transition. I was excited to transition over into the regular salon because, like I said, I wanted to do more hair. I wanted to do more advanced hair services. So the transition was pretty easy. No, that job was another interesting way I found that job because I was out doing something one day and I met this guy and he told me, you know, he asked me what I did for work. And I told him I was working at the haircutting place and I wanted to branch out and get into more of a traditional salon. And he was a product distributor actually. So he said he knows of this salon and knows a lady there, and she does, you know, pretty good work. And you know, here's her card or here's her number. Give her a call. And that's how I started working at the next place.
So I know that now you really appreciate and really have a love for hair cutting still, and also to hair color. How did you get into really having a love for coloring hair? Because that's something that a lot of stylists, some of them really shy away from. So how is it that you have gained that confidence in being able to color hair and color it correctly?
Well, when I was working at the haircutting place, the haircuttery, they actually educate their team, which is really good. And unfortunately, a lot of Black salons don't do this, where they provide education for their staff. So this salon actually provided education for us. We didn't have to pay to get education. So they would offer color classes, and I would just eat up the information because I know, like, these people know how to color hair, and they use a certain line of products. They would give us books, they would give us classes, just a lot of information. And I would just, listen to the information because I knew I wanted to key in on doing hair color properly.
So fast forward, and at this point we meet. You're working in the shop. Eventually, we get married, and we worked together a couple different times. But one time in particular was when you were getting your instructor license. So what caused you to want to get your instructor license as a cosmetologist?
I love to teach. I kind of like to talk, but I love to teach. I love sharing information. And I just love looking at somebody's face that didn't understand something and just them get it like that. That just gives me such joy, I guess you could say. But I just knew I wanted to help people. I really enjoyed helping people because when I was in cosmetology school, once again, because the information was already there, this was like my second time doing it. I would actually help the teacher with the students in the class. I would help teach certain subjects, and some things that the teacher really didn't understand herself, I would be like telling her like low-key, like, that's not how you do it, this is how you do it. And she'd be like, you know what, you can go show them. And so from there on, I realized I actually like teaching and I like helping people. So yeah, it was nice working with you.
So when it comes to working with your husband, your significant other, what advice would you have for people that perhaps are, a husband and wife where they work together? What advice would you have? Because you just said that you liked it or enjoyed doing it, but what would you tell them in terms of being prepared to do that, or if they should do it at all?
I would say always keep it professional. Always maintain respect when you come home, and respect at work, because sometimes if you obviously you and the person live together. So if you and the person may have a disagreement, then you might take it to work with you, and people see that. So keep work life and personal life separate. It can be done, but you just have to realize that there's a different line that you cross when you get into the workplace with your spouse.
So we were instructors together at the same school. I was on the barber side, you were on the cosmetology side. Eventually we got a shop, and we had Crisp Custom Creations for a little over 4 years. So what did you learn from that experience of being a shop owner?
So many different things. One specifically stood out to me is that you have to speak up. You have to speak up in saying to your staff what you expect and what needs to be done at a specific time. Time is of the essence in paying your booth rent. You know what I mean? You can't give people chances and keep giving them chances. You have to say, this is what is needed at this time, and if it's not done, then these are the consequences. And you have to follow through with those consequences. Because if you don't, then people either never follow through, or they'll always take your kindness for granted. So those are some of the things I learned. Like you just have to speak up and stop trying to be the nice boss.
So are you referring to me? Was I not the nice boss, or was like you throwing shots?
I feel like I was more like the silent partner. I feel like I was more like the silent partner because I just wouldn't say nothing. I just wouldn't say nothing. So I think I was the one that needed to speak up more. You wouldn't really have no problem saying stuff. And I mean, both of us, there were certain situations where both of us should have spoken up a little bit more with certain things, but we learn.
Would you have a shop again?
No.
Why not?
It's too much work. I don't want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you ever, if the opportunity came to where you could own your own school, would you own your own school? If money wasn't an object, would you own your own school?
No.
Why not?
I don't want to do the work. It's too much work. I don't want to do the work. I just want to go to work and go home. So that's why I'm in a suite right now, which is like a sweet spot for me. I just go into my suite, I do my clients, and I go home. I don't have to worry about which bill needs to be paid or what, I just pay my boat rent and I just go home.
Do you miss teaching?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I do teach. I do miss teaching.
What do you miss most about it?
The transfer of knowledge.
So we talked about how we were in the shop together, and then from that point we started going into suites. And at this point, I started teaching full time, so I wasn't really cutting hair on the same capacity as I used to. And what was it like going from working in a salon to working in a suite environment? Like what was that like? What were some of the pros and cons to be able to making that jump?
Okay, so the cons to moving into a suite is that in comparison to the salon setting is that you don't have people around you. So the conversation is mostly focused on you and your client. So if you don't feel like talking to your client, you don't have to talk to your client. It's just you and your client. Whereas if in a salon setting, you don't feel like talking to them, you don't have to, because there's always this conversation going on and they can jump in this conversation and jump in that conversation, So that would be one of the cons. Another one of the cons would be in the traditional salon setting, you could see another stylist doing another technique. So that's kind of how you learn, In the suite setting, you don't have another stylist to look at to learn another technique. So you on your own,
I mean, but you still care about that now after all these years?
No, I don't care about that stuff. I never care about. I like my own personal space, honestly. I like my own personal space and I like my own things. I don't like nobody using my stuff, and I leave half a bottle and I come back and find it empty, and then I'm, yeah.
So is that considered a con then, or is that a pro?
One of the pros of owning your own suite, you have your own stuff. If you leave it messy, you come back and find it messy. If you sweep it, it's gonna be swept. If you empty the trash gonna be emptied. One of the pros for me in the suite setting is the privacy it offers my clients, because I deal with a lot of clients who have hair loss issues. And so the suite provides a privacy for them, because back in the traditional setting, I could tell that my clients were slightly uncomfortable. They wouldn't say anything, but you can tell they were uncomfortable. And so that also helped pushed me to, you helped push me to help get the suite. But yeah, the suite helps a lot in those situations.
So if you were a barber student or a cosmetology student getting out of school, would you suggest that they go to a salon first or a barbershop or a suite first?
Yes and no. If you have your clients fully established and you already know how much money you're making and you know what your money is going to be at the end of the week, definitely suite setting. If you're still building clients and still need to market and what's that word? Network. Mm-hmm. Yes, I think you should go in the traditional barbershop.
So how is it that you continue to gain clients now, even though you're in a suite setting? How are you actually getting new clients when you don't have a specific storefront anymore?
It's interesting. Social media is a beast. You have to work on your social media. I post a lot on my social media. I get clients from Instagram. I get clients from Facebook. And of course, do good work. Do good work, and your work will speak for yourself. Mm. Itself, not yourself. Yeah,
for itself. So, so you've been working in the suite, and over the past 2 years now, we started working on the Sheila Comb brand, and we've been doing classes. We've been doing state board classes. We've been doing online things. We have a lot more things coming up in terms of some more featured classes. You don't know it yet, but we're gonna be doing some hair cutting and some coloring classes. So that's I'm sure news to you to hear that now. So everybody can stay tuned for that. But behind the scenes, you've been working on doing something else. So why don't you tell us about what you just recently accomplished and actually how it will, or how you're hoping that it will relate to the cosmetology and barber field?
So as of now, I am a licensed real estate agent. So if you'd like to follow that page, it's Danny Brown Realty, Danny Brown _Realty on Instagram. So I've always loved real estate. I've always loved looking at properties. I always love talking to people about the benefits of why they should do something. It's just like doing hair to me personally. You know, when somebody come in for a haircut, you tell them what's the best product to use and why is it the best time to get your haircut at this time. You know, so just like in selling real estate, I feel like it's the same idea. You tell them why it's the best time to buy the property and why is the best time, you know, why this property is the best for them, so forth and so on. So how I think it will correlate with doing here or in our industry is barbers and stylists are always searching for buildings. They're always looking to lease a building. You know what I mean? So why not lease? And I can help you find the building that you want to lease. Or if you don't want to lease, you want to buy the building, I got you.
All right. We appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you passing the test. About that.
The struggle was real.
So what do you have? What would you say is next upcoming for Giselle Victoria Hair? When you first went to the suite, it was like you were working 4 days a week, and then it went to 3, and now you're kind of down to 2, and you're starting to dwindle that time down a little bit, which I think has actually been good because it's, you know, your days are just packed and you're working, and when you're there, you're working. But what's next in store, you would say, for you in the cosmetology/barber field?
Really to focus on helping students to become licensed and to especially try and help soc.consulting to be a brand that's not just known locally, but to be known on a state level, you know, to also expand that brand as well. And, you know, the good thing about the situation that we're living in kinda is that things can be done on Zoom or things can be done electronically. So if somebody needs help for their state test in another state, we could help them because the concept is the same, really, you know, or if you need book help, the book knowledge is the same. So that's my goal. And even in cutting down my days so much more at the shop, I hope to be able to help, you know, build Sherwood-Bacoma a little bit more and help to participate in making some of those hair cutting videos and hair coloring videos for our students.
Absolutely. So one last question for you. What advice would you give any student who's getting out of school or finishing or who's about to finish school as they get into the field? What advice would you give them?
Start marketing yourself now. Don't wait until you have your license to start marketing yourself. Start marketing yourself while you're in school. If you love hair color, wear hair color. See my hair? I love color. I wear color. If you like long hair, wear long hair. If you like short hair, wear short hair. Don't wear something that you don't offer. I remember last couple of months I had braids in. And everybody keep asking me about these braids. Who did them? Where did I get them done? And I don't do braids, but I wore braids because I just didn't feel like doing my hair. Right? So wear hairstyles that you offer and that you want to sell to your client.
So don't do what you did, basically.
Yeah, don't do what I did, but I can do that now. So yeah. but market yourself now. Definitely start marketing yourself now and let you know that you're a stylist or you're a barber in training, and you know, here's your card and so forth. But marketing is really important. So yeah.
Well, Danielle, we appreciate you being able to stop in. I guess I'll be seeing you in a few minutes as soon as we press end. But we appreciate you know, your time that you spent today, and obviously you know how much I appreciate all your hard work in regards to not only the hair industry as a cosmetologist, but even with some of the barber skills that you have. So I'm going to keep pushing you.
You taught me.
I'm going to keep pushing you. and our viewers are going to be looking forward to seeing more content from you as we keep going forward. So we appreciate you stopping in. We look forward to the next visit.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown.